Well, hello, beautiful people. It's Going Rogue. I'm Caitlin Johnston.
I'm Tim Foley.
And we're back, episode 2. Thank you so much for all your feedback on our first episode. It was really so much fun to read through everything, and we got a lot of tips and hints, and oh my God, you guys are so imaginative. Like, there's so many cool ideas that we got from it.
Really great group of fans.
Yeah, and so much love. Everyone was very loving.
Wonderful people.
You know, like they tell you not to read the YouTube comments, but they were good. I enjoyed it.
Not that bad.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think we're gonna try and cut these up into smaller segments, but probably not this one. We'll see how we go. We've got to work out the whole tech side of that.
Yeah, so we're planning on we'll just do like we'll do a long episode and continue to release the long podcast format episodes, and then we'll break those ones up and release them day by day, I guess.
Yeah,
bit by bit.
Bit by bit. So happy 9/11.
Oh, yeah. Happy anyone who questions the official story is a crazy conspiracy theorist day.
Yeah. Best day of the year for conspiracy theorists. So, first off, John Bolton has been fired. Yeah. Yeah, everyone breathe. It's time to take a breath. Like the first real breath you've taken in 18 months.
That was a long-ass year and a half.
Yeah, it was. It was. And you know what? It wasn't until till he's actually gone that I realized how scared I've been of him.
Yeah, that's just like, you just never know, do you? You never know if you're going to open up your news feed and like, Tehran isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, we invaded Venezuela. That's great.
Yeah, Bolton got his way. Just, and to have that little pink monster... next to so close to the nuclear button, just so close. And he's just, anyway, the evil mutant death walrus.
He's just the worst. He's as bad as it gets. It's absolutely ridiculous and completely unacceptable that he was ever in that position to begin with. The Trump supporters are like, oh yeah, it's 4D chess.
Right.
He fired the guy that he himself hired.
Yeah.
and elevated and guaranteed a lucrative book deal.
Yeah.
To instead. Yeah.
Ensured that his voice is, he's going to be a pundit from now on.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, this man is batshit crazy.
Even to call him a war hawk is not enough, is it?
Yeah. Like Hillary Clinton is a war hawk.
Yeah. No, he's not a war hawk. He's like a war pterodactyl or a
war pteranodon.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to go way back.
Yeah, there's
to get a creature that flies and is comparable.
Right. And there was no brakes on this guy either. He really thought he was right about everything, including the Iraq War. He thought that was a reasonable. What did he call it?
Only person around. The last time I heard him talk about it was not that long ago. It was right before he got appointed. He was on. Who's that guy? Tucker Carlson, and he said it was a resounding success.
Right.
I think the invasion itself was a resounding success.
So this is not a guy...
He didn't call it an invasion. He would never say invasion.
No.
I inserted that part myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whatever thing to get rid of Saddam Hussein, he called a resounding success. It was great. He's the only person who thinks that. There's no one else who thinks that. Yes,
and you can tell what sort of personality he is then. He's not the sort of guy who learns from his failures at all.
No, it's always just, it was mismanaged.
Yes. Everything it's just he didn't have quite enough control.
If you would have just given more control to the maniac who threatened to kill an OPCW official's children in order to facilitate the Iraq invasion, then it all would have gone fine.
Right. So yeah, we did an article a few days back about killing your inner John Bolton, because really he's a good representation of the ego. He doesn't learn. Every solution to his problem is death or destruction. Self-sabotage is the key word. The saboteur in chief, they call him sometimes.
Because it was his job to sabotage peace
Diplomacy.
talks in North Korea and Iran and all that.
Right, yeah. Can't stand diplomacy. And American exceptionalism to the hilt, and can't be told, Can't be told that, oh, well, you fucked up there. No, he did not.
No,
just
he just
mismanaged.
didn't have enough control.
Yeah, just hand me more control.
If he were able to control every molecule in the universe, there would be no problems ever.
Right, according to his little doctrine, which I think is a pretty good representation of the ego, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I need to look. If I could just get in there and be the one who says, well, no, that's not true. Like,
If we left our minds in control, we couldn't even take care of our own bodies.
Yeah, if you let.
Can you imagine having to think, beat my heart, blink my eye, and digest, go. And like if we had to orchestrate that all cognitively, that would fall apart. Let alone all the other stuff going on outside the world. You have to trust in life a little bit.
Yeah, you have to trust in life, and you have to trust in other people too.
That's kind of a marker for all these power grubbing sociopaths who work their way up to the top of our sick society. Is that they all have this desire to, if I could just control more things, if I could just get a little more control over a few more people.
Right. And then you find that they're surrounded by a little group of people who are always saving them from themselves, like, because they do make consistently bad decisions because they're only operating from this tiny little thinker system. They're not actually, taking from the consensus or the whole or whatever. And so, yeah, that they make use of other people mopping up after them. So anyway, so he's out. So that's fantastic. Thank fuck.
I mean, they might replace him with someone who, if they work really hard, will be as bad.
Yeah, they've got
maybe.
Fred Flax.
He could wind up being as bad. I don't think anyone could possibly be worse though.
I don't think he's threatened anyone's children.
Yeah,
on record,
maybe
anyway.
Maybe just like a normal garden variety sociopath.
Yeah, not an actual bloodthirsty psychopath. Right. Yeah, who will do anything. So that's pretty fun. So this all comes after the drama about the Afghanistan talks as well. They seem related. It seems related.
Yeah, well, that's the rumor, is that they were arguing over Trump wanted to negotiate with Taliban members for the withdrawal, which is stupid. You don't need to talk to anyone to get the fuck out of a country you never should have been in the first place. That's dumb.
No one's gonna miss you, mate.
Yeah. You just exit. But no, because we were unable to reach a deal with the Taliban, that all fell through.
Yeah, so that was really stupid. But Michael Tracy, I thought, had a fairly good comment on that. He tweeted out, Trump declares today that negotiations to end the Afghanistan war are dead. No media outrage. Trump declares over the weekend that he invited combatants in the Afghanistan war to discuss a resolution, and profound media outrage. Notice a pattern here?
It is it's been the story of Trump's entire administration, hasn't it? And he talks about wanting to pull troops out of Syria. Everyone has this existential meltdown as though he's talking about doing something hugely significant and dangerous, rather than just scaling back the forever war a tiny bit.
Well, even getting rid of John Bolton, people were doing such gymnastics to try and say that it was a bad thing in some way that Trump had got rid of the most bloodthirsty war pterodactyl known to man.
They couldn't really say anything. Pelosi and Schumer, they both jumped on Twitter and they were just, this is bad because jibbity jabbity word salad something Trump is bad.
Yeah. Because it's not bad. It's never bad.
It can only be good. It can only be good to get rid of that horrible, horrible orc of a man.
But, how are they going to recognize what an evil, evil man he is when the sorts of things that he is pushing, they don't even see. That's not even, it's so outside of, it's as long as it's outside the borders of, the US or whatever, and it gets
Americans have become so desensitized to war, and it's become so normalized.
Yeah.
The only time generally you hear about U.S. foreign policy is when someone says, hey, maybe we should stop killing all those people on the other side of the planet. And then everyone's just like, well, our national security, you're an isolationist.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Well, talking of which, Rania Khalek and Max Blumenthal are in Syria right now. So
that's cool.
That's cool, but yes, the complete meltdown that the blue checkmark Twitterati are having right now by the fact that they got on a plane and just went to find out for themselves what is going on. That must really drive them nuts.
They must hate that so much.
Millions and millions of dollars go into that propaganda.
Billions, probably. You go to all this work to, you establish all these narratives through the mainstream media. You get all these NGOs working together to construct a narrative. You get the white helmets in here, and they got their photographs. You get the little Bana Alabed girl on CNN, and talk about, this is definitely Assad. He gassed all those people.
Then you got to write a book for her to pretend that she wrote.
You got to get the Academy Award for the white helmets. Yeah. And then some insolent little man, some insufferable person, just an ordinary little person, goes over there with a camera and just looks around
with an iPhone. Like there have been citizen journalists, like we've talked to a few who've just gone like, all you have to do is get a plane. Right. You just go to, your local travel agent, get yourself a ticket. You do have to wait around for the visa, apparently, into Syria, but not long.
And then you just go, so here's what's going on. Here are these people. They're happy. They didn't used to be able to walk around and celebrate Christmas or whatever, and here now they are. And look, those guys over there, they got the ISIS insignia or the Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra insignia.
Yeah, and they happen to have their headquarters right next door to the White House. Oh, that's really interesting. And they're recording all this footage on their iPhones, and sending immediately around the world on Facebook. That must be so annoying.
They're just infuriated about it, and they can't say that that's what they're infuriated about. So it's just like, Putin.
Yeah, especially some of these people who have been doing some really egregious things, like paying off
Charles Lister and them.
Yeah, because you're actually indulging terrorism, and terrorists. So, these are really evil people that they're actually, they're pretending are allies, etc. So they must know that at some point that's going to become public. So there's also that fear there that they're like, we've got to keep a lid on this narrative, because if it blows, if people really understand what went on and then they really take it down into their selves, they're going to be very, very fucking angry.
If that was an English-speaking nation, like a majority English-speaking nation, or even a majority French-speaking nation or something, the whole narrative would have crumbled a long time ago. It's just the fact that they're able to keep it. There's a language barrier, and they're able to mostly keep people out and mostly control the narrative there. That they're able to
smear those people who do go and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, that'll be interesting to see what Max and Rania come up with.
Yeah.
ThinkProgress has gone.
Bye-bye.
No more ThinkProgress. Now,
bye-bye. You went the way of John Bolton.
John
Bolton and ThinkProgress can tango off into the sunset together.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think ThinkProgress is quite as evil, but if you don't know, it's a website, journalism, very lefty, set up by...
I don't know about very lefty.
Well, it's set up to appear lefty.
Yeah, centrist
kind of
Democrat.
Corporate lefty.
Yeah. Don't let the word progress fool you.
Right, yeah. Set up for the Center of American Progress, who is headed up by Neera Tanden, who is quite a Twitter personality.
Miss populism is a threat to democracy.
Yeah, she really, really doesn't like the actual left.
The riffraff.
Yeah. Big Hillary supporter, etc.
Big Sanders hater.
Can't stand him. So, yeah, anyway... That's her little pet project. It actually turns out that it's separate from the think tank that she runs. They set it up, there's funding from there, etc. But they set it up as a separate entity. And so it had journalistic integrity in the fact that it wasn't just, like for, just wasn't PR for the think tank. Anyway, how they announced the whole thing, though, how the whole thing went down, they went to the workers. The workers had a union they'd put together by themselves, and they'd actually negotiated a fairly good package. They got 12 weeks and that sort of thing. So they were pretty happy about that. But when ThinkProgress went to Twitter, they said, for many years, ThinkProgress has played a critical role as an independent journalistic resource for millions of Americans. Moving forward, we're transitioning ThinkProgress back to its roots by offering analysis of the news, policy, and politics. So basically saying we're transitioning it back to our roots. We're going to take it back in-house into the think tank, and it can spew out our public relations releases.
It's going to be a think tank PR wing. Think tanks need another one.
Right, with no editorial oversight and, no separation between these sorts of things. So anyway, the union got upset about that. They wrote a pretty great letter. And they said, we were blindsided by the revelation that CAP intends to continue operating ThinkProgress site with its own labour. To take away our independent voice and use the wide audience built by ThinkProgress union staff for other purposes is an affront to the ThinkProgress mission. And they asked not to for it to be archived rather than for it just to be taken over by, public relations experts and spin doctors. They also pointed out too that the ThinkProgress people were just going to happily allow the donations to flow in. They weren't going to stop the membership, which, when you signed up for ThinkProgress, the whole thing was you're giving money to fierce, independent, adversarial journalism, and they were just going to continue letting that kind of money stream come through.
That's exactly the same as like if you're writing articles and stuff, and then you give CaitlinJohnston.com to a think tank, or over to a think tank or something. And you let them continue to use your website and use your platform and keep publishing
without
but you don't tell your Patreon people.
Yeah. They were going to tell them, but you know what it's like. Like life is busy. I think they. You don't
stop their payments.
No. Yeah. You should just stop it at the nip it in the bud. Anyway. It worked. The union worked, and ThinkProgress came back very quickly and said, we're honouring the request of the former ThinkProgress staff to archive thinkprogress.org with no further posting and end ThinkProgress's membership program. And then they wrote a full statement. So there you go. It's gone.
Go unions.
Yeah, go unions. But the larger story here is that is quite an asset. This was started by the Centre for American Progress was started by John Podesta with the idea, his general kind of purpose in life seems to be that he wants a left-wing sort of think tank, echo chamber. That was, that's throughout the emails, etc. And so with very thick walls so that people, I think they looked at what the Republicans did in the early noughties.
And they were so good at it. The Republicans had such a streamlined echo chamber, which is one of the reasons why the Iraq War got off the ground so smoothly.
Yes. If you can get people saying, well, you don't support our troops as soon as they...
You just get Karl Rove mumbling something in some think tank Monday afternoon. It'll be like water cooler conversation across the country by Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, so there was Podesta and a few others, like some fairly major billionaires, idea that they would do this for the left. And in part, I'm pretty sure that's why Obama had such a strong campaign, etc. It worked. And that's the way that politics is run now. The narrative control, they understand better than anyone how important that is. ThinkProgress, in terms of a narrative control asset, is very, very valuable. I would have thought it had built up a lot of a good reputation over a long amount of time, and to let it just go shows that there's not as much funding, I don't think, as there used to be for this sort of thing. It never made any money. They admitted that.
Just pouring money to try to force it to be something.
Yeah.
Because just centrist ideology is not interesting. It's not, it doesn't energize people. It's unless you can get them scared enough about Trump or Russia or something. There's nothing in there. It's not going to crackle. It's not going to get people picking it up and run with it.
And I think that's what they found, was that there was really very little readership. I went and had a look, and I mean, they're not the sort of stories that interest me anyway, but it's kind of like when you're writing vanilla stuff, it looks vanilla. Like,
well, I mean, how do you get, what do you do? Like, how do you get people to run around sharing articles about how better things aren't possible?
Yeah.
About how
incremental change on like,
yeah, let me go enthusiastically spread the gospel of incremental stasis.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so weird that they call themselves Center for American Progress and ThinkProgress. It should be like Center for American Inertia.
Yeah,
would be a more appropriate.
Right.
Center for American Stasis.
Yeah,
we'll just pretty much keep things the same until we just die in a nuclear holocaust.
We just cover everything in a kind of porridge and just hope that you don't move too quick.
Just this thin beige film. We'll have Steve Colbert come out and try to convince you that it's attractive. Yeah.
Not our thing. So that was cool. What else has been happening? Oh, the polls have been interesting.
Oh yeah, they took that so back in the 2016 election, right? They used the superdelegates. It wasn't just the superdelegates manipulating the 2016 Democratic primary. The superdelegates were also used by the media to manipulate people because they would count up Hillary Clinton's superdelegates who wouldn't be voting for months, and just because they said they were going to vote for Hillary Clinton, they would count them toward the total delegate counts to create the illusion that Hillary Clinton had this huge lead over Sanders that she did not have. But when people would look at the thing, they would see Hillary Clinton miles ahead of Sanders because they were counting all these extra early votes that they never should have counted, and even the DNC told them to stop counting it. So when they found out, when it became clear that whoever wins the Democratic nomination is going to be running against some really scary Republican, be it Ted Cruz or Donald Trump or someone, it's going to be really important that they be able to win. So obviously you're going to want to support Hillary Clinton because she looks like the one who can win. So they can't do that now. Now they can't do that because the superdelegate rules have been changed in the Democratic Party. So they can't vote. They don't get a vote for until after the convention, and in order to break up ties and stuff. And even
there's some rules as well.
Right. Yeah.
If someone reaches over 50%, then which won't happen. But like if someone did really pull ahead, then they wouldn't
pull in the
vote.
superdelegates at all. Right.
Yeah.
So, but now they can't do that no more. So what it looks like they're doing, what we've noticed them doing, is they're doing delegate estimates now. So they're counting up. They're doing these weird polls with, it's usually like just landline people and within a certain demographic, and then taking those polls, that small center of that small slice of people polled, and then extrapolating it to a delegate estimate, which and then making a graphic to make it look like Biden has this many delegates and Elizabeth Warren has this many delegates. Oh, but Bernie Sanders only has this many delegates because of how we're doing this. So it looks like the way that like MSNBC and CBS have been sharing this graphic around. It looks like Warren and Biden have twice as much support as Bernie Sanders, where they have about the same amount right now. They're kind of in different areas. They're about the same. Biden's ahead in some areas. Bernie's ahead in one state.
Yeah. But this is just continues, like, doesn't it? It's a trend with the polls. Like, we were following the polls pretty closely in 2016, and they were literally cutting out demographics as they went along. Like, they cut out all millennials, and then they cut out anyone who was not in the southern states, and it went on and on until they got, like, they were basically just polling white southerners over 50, and maybe that's just because that's all you can get on a landline. I don't know, but
it's pure narrative control, because now people are a lot of Democrats are more frantic to defeat Trump than ever before. So who are you going to vote for in the primaries? You're going to vote for whoever you think has the best chance to do that. If you believe that Bernie Sanders has
no chance at all,
is not doing well in the primaries, then you're not going to take a gamble on him doing well in the generals. So they're doing this thing where they make it look like Sanders can't win again, and it's just this continued trend. And so, like, in the 2016, after the 2016 primaries, you had all the pundits trotted out and saying, yeah, but he did get less votes than Hillary Clinton did. Yes, he did get less primary votes. I mean, people will even argue about that, but officially he got less primary votes than Hillary Clinton. But if that is true, that is only because of all the narrative control that went into making that happen,
including AP calling California the night before it was run,
to deter people. And that's the thing. It's people, liberals like to talk about Russians interfering in the 2016 election. Some progressives will talk about the DNC interfering in the 2016 election. Not nearly enough people talk about the plutocratic class, the media-owning class, interfering in the 2016 election, who had a far greater impact than the Russians or even the DNC.
Right. So not only is there this donor class that can elevate campaigns just simply by giving a lot of more money than a grassroots campaign can get in, but yeah, they own the media as well, and they have so much power, and there's obviously not enough people in the media saying, hey, you can't do that. Like, there's not enough integrity in the newsroom. That's also what I find really strange, that there are editors and copy editors and journalists and stuff just passing this crap through.
But that's exactly how it goes. Crystal Ball for her show did that awesome segment talking about her experience as a journalist and how everyone knows when you're in the media and you're in the mainstream press. You know what stories will get you accolades, and you know what stories will get you kind of marginalized and kill your career. So you learn very quickly what to say and what not to say. And once she said it, there were a number of other people with the same kind of experiences who rushed forward to say, yeah, that is exactly right.
So Matt Taibbi called them attaboys.
Right, yeah. You know what'll earn you attaboys in the break room or in the press room.
Right, yeah. And you know what will get you promoted as well. And you know what will get your column squeezed out of existence. Or your segment or whatever.
Yeah, and we like to talk about how, like, it's kind of like art. Good journalism is like art. If you're doing art for money and prestige and to get ahead, your art's gonna suck. Yeah. You'll make shitty pop music and shitty pop art and in some hope of becoming big, because you're trying to appeal to a large audience, and it won't be coming from anywhere. It will be coming from your own greed. And journalism's exactly the same way. If you do it with the goal of getting ahead, you could succeed. You got a decent chance of becoming famous, but that's only because the whole system is set up to reward that mentality, and it only rewards that mentality for people who toe the plutocratic line.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, if you're going to do good journalism, you're going to piss off the people who own the papers.
Necessarily,
that's what's going to happen.
The way if actual adversarial journalism will necessarily
if you are
the media
punching
owning.
up to power, that's where the power is.
Right.
So, it's
Everyone,
a very sad state of affairs.
everyone who works for Jeff Bezos' paper is doing jack shit to punch up to power. They're just looking like they are.
Right, yeah. Oh, and, they get very huffy when you talk about it. Like, you're attacking journalism.
How dare you? Yeah, actually, in some ways, it's cool that Trump has been like waking up the right-wing people to how shit the mass media is and kind of weakening it a little bit. In some ways, that's a good thing, but in some ways, it's a bad thing because the liberal kind of media gave themselves license to now forbid anyone to criticize the media and call anyone who criticizes the media Trumpian.
Yeah, they kind of did that thing where you make yourself a special class of people who, there's racism and there's sexism and there's, being anti-journalism.
Cuomo said it was the equivalent of the N-word for journalists.
Yeah.
Chris Cuomo. He loves to say he's getting called the equivalent of the N-word. What was the other thing he did?
Fredo. Am I allowed to
Someone
say?
called him Fredo?
Yeah.
Are you canceled now?
I don't know. I think we're cancelled.
We get canceled every episode.
That's the second time this week.
He's got such a victim complex, but that's another thing. He's such a horrible little man.
Yeah, he really is. But yeah, the victim complex is right through the media, isn't it? About that sort of stuff.
Well, I don't know if it's. I don't think they actually feel that. I just think they understand that it's a useful tool of narrative control, and it enables them to attack anyone who criticizes them.
I feel the pride puffing up. They really do think, because no one goes into journalism thinking,
That's true.
I'll just write press releases for powerful people. That's, because there's not a lot of money in the early stages of journalism. Cadets get paid nothing, and it's the Rachel Maddows or whatever, a very small slice of it. So mostly it's like lawyers or politicians or anyone. You go in there thinking you're going to do good things, and then the culture and everything just kind of gets at you, and it takes a lot of guts to stand to make yourself into a solid object and not get washed away with it. Anyway, should we do some questions?
Let's do some questions.
All right. So Joy on Facebook, I like this question, Joy. She said, why are the elites ruining the planet if they have to live here too? That's a very good question. So I think the thing about the elites, the true elites, is, it seems fairly lazy to talk about things in terms of us and them. But the elite class are quite a different sort of human than us, in that power and money, when you've got obscene amounts of them, actually cause you to have less empathy and less need for goodwill. Because you're dealing always in money, your need to lean in to people, find out what they need from you, and exchange favors and just be generally a nice person. They can buy all of that. They've got money for that. So they're not empathy.
Studies have shown this. This isn't just you're not just making this up.
No, money actually will do that. It'll atrophy your empathy ability. Plus the way that the whole capitalism is set up is that if you're going to make money, bootstrap making massive amounts of money, you have to be as ruthless as possible. There is no room for empathy. There's no room for any humanity. You have to make really full-on decisions that impact people's lives in ways that most of us couldn't sleep at night if we thought about it. So yeah, those, the big movers who have made their money or whatever, they're especially prone to sociopathy. And they've built their whole thing on competition. That's all they really understand, is how to compete, how to win, how to take more than you're giving, and how to get ahead of everyone else in this, and they can do it better than anyone else. So when they go to the end of the world scenario. They call it the event. There's a really good article by a guy called Douglas Rushkoff called Survival of the Richest, where he talks about, he's a futurist, and he talks about when he went to a whole meeting of hedge fund managers, and they were he thought that they wanted to hear about the future and how cool it was going to be or whatever. They wanted to know how they were going to have to deal with the event, how they were going to keep all their stuff from the marauding hordes of hungry and desperate people who need water and food and whatever, how they were going to maintain a secure compound.
After the shit hits the fan.
After the shit has hit the fan, which they just assume is going to happen. And I think, like even more so than us plebs, that the billionaire class really believe it is going to hit the fan.
Right. Well, they're just projecting their assumption onto the rest of the world. So I know I am never gonna stop trying to take as much as I can. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason for me to think anyone else is ever going to either.
Right. So yeah, and they're very unlikely to wake up anytime soon to that, because it's not like they've hit rock bottom, and that's when people usually have their awakenings about, what life is and what story is and why we're here and what's really valuable or whatever. Like, if you're flying high with billions of dollars, you don't really need too many moments of self-reflection, do you?
No, you can. It's just it. You can buy altered states of consciousness.
Right. I mean, the crazy things that they do.
Sex. You can buy all sorts of ways from dissociating from your own humanity.
Right, yeah. So where was I going with that? Right. So that this competitive mindset means that they're just going to keep taking as much as they can, because that's what they think everyone else is going to do. And so of course they're going to do it, and they're good at it or whatever. And then hopefully they can get on the next rocket ship to Mars, or secure their compound in New Zealand or whatever, which is culturally where we've been told the event will go. Like all of our apocalyptic movies, all our Armageddon stuff always has everyone like wandering around alone in a desert wasteland, clutching the few possessions that they have, like fighting people for water, and some gangs roaming around, but basically just each man to himself. That's not true. Like, that doesn't make any sense from a normal psychology perspective. When a big event happens, like you see, like the massive tsunamis in Indonesia, or like there's, when they have a huge hurricane, on the coast of the US or whatever, people help each other. That's their natural inclination. They want to get out there and help as many people as possible. They want to share their stuff, because you switch into this like survival mode, and your survival mode doesn't want to fight people or like piss people off. Your survival mode wants to make sure that you are integrated as a unit, and that you're going to get ahead together. You're going to make everything happen, get everyone situated.
If for no other reason than for just sheer enlightened self-interest.
It's just self-interest.
You function better in a group.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is an enlightened state of being. No, this is just normal stuff.
We're a tribal species.
Yeah, and that's how we operate, and that's how we operate best. So they don't perceive that. They think it's going to be like Mad Max. And, I'm sure plenty of people do think that as well. But also I think that, if you're kind of a certain social strata, like you can imagine getting along with people. You can imagine getting along with and getting solutions together and just fixing stuff. It doesn't seem that impossible. Like, there's only a few things that we really need to put into place. Democracy would be good, like actual democracy where people, so that we could make decisions on a large scale that make a difference. A few things like that. We just need to stop using oil. It's pretty simple, and we could do it within a couple of years with the will of the people. So, to answer your question, why are the elites ruining the planet if they have to live here too? They don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah, I think we kind of assume, because of the way that our culture has programmed us, that the people who are running things, the people who have all the power and the money, that they have some sort of special level of wisdom or knowledge that maybe ordinary people don't have. That's just not true. They are all highly mediocre people who just happen to be good at ones and zeros or moving money around or whatever. There's not anything in what it takes to become a billionaire that would make you good at humaning.
Right.
They're two completely different things, and in a lot of ways, as you pointed out, contradictory things.
Yeah. But this Douglas Rushkoff thing, which I'll put the link in, one of his lines is, for all their wealth and power, they don't believe they can affect the future. All they know how to do is just bunker down and grab as much stuff as possible. They're hoarders. They're suffering from a mental illness. They're hoarding money.
They're running on what the Buddhists would call samskaras. There's just these programs, these spinning wheels that get put into motion. They're just running on habit. They only know, they just got this habit of grabbing as much as they can, and that's why they have a bunch. But they don't know how to stop. Just because they're the top dogs doesn't mean they have any more self-control than your average heroin addict.
Right. It's a bit depressing, isn't it? But anyway. Oh, this one. Are you generally optimistic? This is from Benny on Twitter. Are you generally optimistic about the future of the West? Some think that the Western world, and the US in particular, are in terminal decline, and that our best is behind us, and now there's a long slide into irrelevance, as with the fall of Rome. Your thoughts would be appreciated. That's a cool question, Benny. Okay. I'd like to unpack that a little bit.
Optimism about the West. What does that mean? Does that mean are you optimistic that the West will stay on top?
Because I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think that's gonna. That's probably not gonna happen.
Well, if it does, I think that's the end of the world.
Yeah. Basically, if any country. If we continue doing things the way we do, with one country on top, or even a few countries on top, bullying the rest of the world into submission, that just means we haven't changed our self-destructive patterns as human beings, and we're gonna wind up extinct, right?
Right. We're just basically abusing the substrata on which we base all life. We're going to continue fighting until there's no resources left.
Right. And so, we do appear to be headed into a multipolar world, but even that, it can't look anything like the world that we are currently in. We can't continue relating to each other in this competitive, hostile way that we have been. We've got to learn to collaborate with each other and with our ecosystem.
It's essential, isn't it? And I think that's where we're at. It's evolve or die time. But a multipolar world, other than the thoughts that, the beliefs in American exceptionalism and, Western culture being the best and all these kind of other things, other than those beliefs falling away, I don't actually see life being that different for Americans or Australians or anyone in the Western culture. It's just that we're not going to be bullying everyone else. We're going to leave them alone.
Respecting sovereignty.
And respect. And they might have different opinions on how to run their own countries, and that's fine. Kind of the idea that, the US has been kind of on the front foot, preemptively attacking countries so that to maintain safety for the US is wrong. It's just made the US less safe. It's invited more terrorism. It's the exact wrong way to, You don't go around bashing people up and then think that that's making you safe. You're just making people angry. So
that's all been in the name of preserving this unipolar world,
right?
Which our inner John Boltons and our outer John Boltons insist is the only way to amass safety.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a slide into irrelevance, you say here. I think that's coming. I think that's in the mail. I think we're all going to feel fairly irrelevant. if this thing really works, irrelevance is where all of this stuff is going to go.
Ego in general is going to take a massive hit, won't it? I mean, we're just going to have to kind of walk away from that. And when you wake up from egoic consciousness, it's not like you become this big a glorified, enlightened being who feels really cool about themselves. You just kind of feel irrelevant. It's just kind of, it's more like you just kind of fall away like a used gum wrapper or something. It's not a big deal, and you very much don't feel like a big deal. You're not even...
In some ways, it can be really humbling because you realize, like, just what a douche you've been.
Right. But you're able to laugh at it because there's not really anyone there anymore.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I think there will be a slide into irrelevance, but I don't think it's going to be such a big deal. Have we got more time? We do.
What are we doing? Yeah, we got time.
Okay. Well, Jamie on Facebook asked this one. Do you believe in magic? Do I believe in magic? Well, actually, interestingly enough, I've been watching a lot of Darren Brown videos lately. So he's a magician. But how he does his magic is purely through narrative, hypnosis, NLP, suggestion.
What is NLP?
Neuro-linguistic programming. I mean, I'm sure he's got other magic tricks on the side, but the ones that interest me are the ones that work on basic psychology. I showed you one the other day where he did this kind of magic trick where he convinced a guy that what he wanted most in the world was a BMX bike. The thing was, he got him to write down what he wanted most in the world, put it in an envelope a few days before and put it in his pocket. And he had him so convinced that he wanted this BMX bike. The guy couldn't believe it when he got the envelope out that the word BMX was not written on the piece of paper. He'd written down leather jacket. And he was like, I don't want a leather jacket. I want a BMX bike, etc. And he had done this purely through suggestion, purely through placing objects around the room that looked like BMX bikes and using hypnotic suggestion. So,
like inserting the letters BMX in his conversation stuff. It was weird.
It was weird, isn't it? He's really weird. Like and the word bike and stuff like that. Like he's really amazing to watch, right? Watching that gives you an insight into how suggestible we are, for a start, and how advertising propaganda operates in this insidious way to create the illusion that we are making our own beliefs and that we are thinking our own thoughts when actually we are being manipulated. So I find all of that stuff really fascinating. So yes, in that way, I do believe in magic. And I believe it can be really perniciously used, especially if you don't understand what's going on. So, one of the things we do in our house is we never have the TV on during dinner time because it's just ad after ad after ad of junk food. So you're basically getting hypnotized into wanting to eat more than you should of food that you shouldn't be eating in the first place and that sort of thing. Like, we don't watch a lot of TV anyway, but I hate the TV at dinner time.
Yeah, because it's just these magic spells coming at you, basically. It's, our conscious experience is pretty much mostly mental narrative for most people. The thing that consumes your attention and your interest and attention is not what's going on in the world of the senses. It's generally mostly what's going on up here in your inner monologue. You ever like take your kids out on a sunny day and it's great and it's beautiful out, and then you wind up kicking yourself an hour later when you notice that you haven't been paying attention to any of it.
You've basically been in the office the whole time because
Right.
you've been thinking all the thoughts in your head.
So that's what dominates most people's lives, and if you can figure out how to get in there and control that experience, even a little bit of a control exerted over that experience is a immense amount of power that you can wield over somebody. You can get in someone's head and do that, and that's all advertising is geared towards, and it's all propaganda is geared towards.
Religion too.
Religion as well, yeah, which is, is basically just propaganda invented by for dead people. Propaganda for long dead
for the powerful
kings.
people of the day,
Yeah.
Oh, and it continues to be. We still, the Vatican is still one of the richest places on the planet.
Yeah, America
It has no moral authority left whatsoever, but it's held together by pure belief and tribalism and all those sorts of things. Just narrative. They get to keep all of that gold, even though they should not. It's all stolen.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, it's all about how everyone should be meek and mild and subservient, and that's it. And also, you just got to believe this.
You got to believe.
It's really important that you believe this. Someone who just believes it without proof is much more blessed than someone who does believe it with proof. Oh, and also, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Pay your taxes.
Yeah.
Give your taxes to the person who is in charge of you.
But that believe thing is is essential, isn't it? So kind of make sure that you don't doubt. So don't apply your skeptical mind. Don't think to yourself, hang on, I think this sounds like bullshit. You're taking my tithe. You're taking 10% of my money. For what? Why? Because I'll go to hell? What if I don't believe in hell? That sort of thing.
You have to, yeah. Basically, it's geared toward glorifying this hypnotized state.
Yeah, right.
Now just let it all go in. Let it all go in, the whole thing.
We're ex-Catholics, so we still got a little bit of anger about it all. So yes, I believe in magic, and I believe, I believe in miracles, because I believe that once you undo some of these belief systems, then life's allowed a little word in, and really amazing things can happen very fast. Things can unpack very quickly, and so quickly that it appears that it's a miracle.
Yeah, but it's just a relinquishing of patterns, and afterwards a good miracle, a real miracle, a real pattern dissolution doesn't feel like a miracle. It doesn't feel like a big deal because you're not in it anymore. You've relinquished the belief in it.
Right. Yeah.
The belief is kind of like this energetic adhesive that holds a thought in place.
Right.
Basically, otherwise it would just come and it would go and it would never come back. That's what keeps the thought looping and
on
looping.
High rotation.
Which is why when you let go of a belief, it does kind of feel like an energetic release. You are actually releasing an energy, an energetic holding pattern.
Which is why, when people heal from trauma, or which is possible, with techniques, that you can go from being very, like inward looking and quite anxious, to having a little bit more space for yourself and feeling a little more comfortable in the world, a bit more relaxed
And healthier.
Yeah, your biology gets a chance, to send more energy to areas of your body and heal itself better. And so yeah, it's yes, I do believe in magic. So I think that's pretty much it, isn't it?
I reckon.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for listening. Please press subscribe if you will, and that little bell thing, apparently that gives you a notification. If you liked the show, I'm fully crowdfunded. So if you want to go to my PayPal or my Patreon, there are links in the description. I also have a book and merch and all sorts of fun stuff like that. That's about it, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Shine on, people.
Thanks, y'all.